Our name is Ghosts Once You Dead. We find ourselves haunted by horrors, both real and imagined. The twisting, cruel fingers of fate may come for us eventually, but perhaps there are answers within the darkness of the hearts of man.
Hello, I'm Matthew.
And I'm Rebecca.
Rebecca, I have a bone to pick with you.
Uh-oh.
I have seen this play in which you were performing.
Oh, you have?
You did not give me a single Liz Stoddard-style line stumble.
I thought I at least gave you one, but I must have covered it up real quick.
No, I was watching for it, and it did not happen.
Wow.
Only one person stumbled on a line, and it was not you.
I'll have to commit to another play in which I will sabotage the whole thing for you.
That would be nice, but you did well. It was
Thank
good.
you. No, it was fun. It was a good run.
Speaking of characters, I thought we might do a fun thing and take a little Witch Dark Shadows the beginning character are you quiz I found on the internet.
Oh, that sounds really fun. I used to sit and do those quizzes all the time about all kinds of things. Who do you think you will be?
Well, I'm going to try and engineer that because I took the quiz for giggles already and was not pleased with my results.
Oh, dear. Were you Sam Evans? Were you like, God damn it?
I will tell you what I got the first time after we do it this time, but I want to see if I get someone different. Also, before asking you the first question, I would like to provide a disclaimer that J.K. Rowling is turf trash and I do not endorse Harry Potter related things. However, the first question of this quiz is, what is your Hogwarts house? The options are Gryffindor, Slytherin, Ravenclaw, or Hufflepuff. Which do you choose, Rebecca?
In the past, when taking these with my kids before we realized how awful JK was, I would get Ravenclaw or Slytherin. So I'm feeling particularly fuck shit up lately, so I'll go Slytherin.
Okay.
What about you?
I will say the same. Question 2. What is your Myers-Briggs type indicator? Do you know offhand?
Yes. I am an INFP.
They are grouped here where the first option is soft sensor with X SFJs and X SFPs. Second option, hard sensor, which are XSTJs and XSTPs. Soft intuitive is XNFJs and XNFPs, or hard intuitive is XNTJs and XNTPs. So you are a soft intuitive. I'm trying to remember mine.
INFJ?
J is judgy, right? Yes, I am.
Or an INTJ or something. Or no, I think you were an INF.
What is it? The F is feeling or thinking, right?
Yes, so actually it is an
I would be an INTJ.
Yes, that's it, an INTJ.
Do you know your Enneagram type?
I don't know that.
They give parenthetical statements about the types, so I'll let you pick one.
Sure.
Type 1, morality focus.
Probably.
Or type 5, knowledge focus. So morality or knowledge is option 1. Type 2, caregiving, people-pleasing, possessive. Type 3, success focus, perfectionist, image conscious. Type 4, individuality focus, dramatic, withdrawn. Type 6, safety and security focus, loyal, responsible, anxious or suspicious. Type 7, pleasure focus, fun, spontaneous, or scattered. Type 8, leadership focus, dominating, decisive, confrontational. Type 9, harmony focus, agreeable, complacent. Which of those are you?
All of that was confusing, but I remembered I'd done an Enneagram on a dating app that I tried for a while, and I went and looked it up. And I am a type 7 wing 8, which I don't know what that means, but enthusiast.
Well, we'll call you a type 7. And then I go back over to my
Vibe was radical and passionate.
and we will call me probably 4, wouldn't you say? In
Sure, yeah.
reality, dramatic and withdrawn.
Yeah, that would be my Maddie. What was 7 on the thing?
Leisure focus, fun, spontaneous, scattered. I don't know that that's what I would have chosen for you. I would have picked the type 2 caregiving, people pleasing, and possessive one.
I don't think I'm that. I think that was me in my 20s before a lot of therapy. I would probably have picked 4 or 6.
You are scattered and fun.
I am scattered and fun. Let's just go with that.
I don't think you're particularly pleasure focused. You do a lot of shit you don't want to do.
I do.
And I guess you're spontaneous, less so now that we're old.
Sure.
Number 4. Now we're out of the very niche personality test.
Good.
What is your greatest or most prominent virtue? Option 1, I am a leader who knows how to take charge. Number 2, I am hardworking and perseverant. Number 3, I will make great sacrifices to help others. Number 4, I have great intelligence, creativity, and imagination. And then last option, I really know how to turn on the charm, winky face. Which are you?
The last one is like, I'm a slut. I think I am the second to last, the imaginative, creative.
I think I'm going to choose that one as well. For number 5, what is your biggest or most prominent flaw? Option 1, I can be selfish and immature. Option 2, I can be stubborn and bullheaded. Number 3, I sometimes take my anger out on innocent people. Option 4, I can be a bit of a pushover. Which would you like to choose?
I think option 2, as you know, nobody can tell me what to do.
Okay, number 6. If you did something you should not do, you probably did it to gain what? Option 1, wealth, pleasure, or privilege. Option 2, sex and or romance. Option 3, safety and security. Or option 4, knowledge or insight.
Probably number 3.
Safety and security for Rebecca. Knowledge or insight for me. I think. Number 7, what big struggle defines your life the most? Option 1, aimlessness, a lack of belonging. Option 2, helplessness, a lack of control over my own life. Option 3, poverty, a lack of resources. Option 4, rejection and or isolation, a lack of love. Option 5, guilt and or anger, a lack of peace. There is no all of these.
I was going to say,
Pick one. Aimlessness, helplessness, poverty, rejection, or guilt.
Oh gosh.
I'm picking aimlessness.
I think the guilt or the lack of love, but
I think that is probably the one you should pick.
it's probably the one that's on my mind more frequently lately. I need to get a date.
Number 8. What is your main goal in life? Option 1, achieving financial or personal success. Option 2, figuring out my personal identity. Option 3, having fun, 4 exclamation points. Woo! Option 4, protecting the vulnerable. Option 5, getting revenge.
Option 4 and 5, motherfuckers. No, probably number 4, but I want it to say number 5 because that's fun.
Well, I'm going to pick number 5. No, I'm not. There's no one I want revenge on. I guess I want to achieve financial or personal success. I'm not interested in having fun, and I know who I am. And question 9. What is your biggest fear? Option 1, my past. Option 2, my future. Option 3, my family. Option 4, my enemies.
My enemies.
Really?
My biggest fear? Like on a global level, like
Okay.
not personal enemies.
Okay, so Rebecca says my enemies. I'm going to say in a loosely connected way to that same choice, my future, because I'm worried about ending up in a concentration camp.
Sure, it comes from the same place.
Question 10. What makes you happy? Option 1, my loved ones safe and happy. Option 2, a good day's work accomplished. Option 3, a shoulder to lean on. Option 4, a strong drink.
Well, lately it's been a lot of number 4. Afraid I'm going to get Sam Evans because I'm just a sad, lonely painter that drinks a little too much.
Do you want to pick the I'm an alcoholic one, or
Well, I think number 1,
I'm also going
my
to say
goals.
number 1. This is longer than I remember it being.
And that's the podcast, kids.
Feel free to listen to this bit at double speed. Number 11. Which of these appeals to you most? Option 1, a comfy chair in front of a crackling fireplace. Option 2, a quaint seaside cottage. Option 3, a bustling and fashionable city. Option 4, a haunted library full of tantalizing secrets. Option 5, a solitary cave filled with riches.
I would like to live by the sea.
That is also what I chose. Number 12. Which of these upsets you the most? Option 1, unnecessary cruelty. Option 2, not having the freedom to make my own decisions. Option 3, people misunderstanding me. Option 4, people who disobey the rules or step out of line.
1 or 2?
Well, pick one.
Probably 1.
Okay. I will say option 4. Specifically, my rules.
Yes.
Number 13. How do you handle negative emotion? Option 1, suck it up and move on. Option 2, anxiety attack. Then that emoji that is the / for a mouth. Option 3, temper tantrum, exclamation point. Option 4, I get even with whoever made me feel this way. ...
Typically number 2.
I will say number 1. Question 14. The end is near.
Repent.
Rebecca,
Yes.
how brave are you in dangerous or frightening situations? Ha! I scoff in the face of danger. Or, I proceed with caution and determination. Or, I try my best, shaking all the way. Did you hear something? Option 4. Ah, run away!
These are funny.
Acting. You've inspired.
Yes, now you are an actor. Number 1, probably. Like, I'm pretty brave. Like, I don't know that I'm like, ha, exactly, but I am the type of person that falls apart when everything's fine and then has my wits about me in a crisis. So I'll go with that.
Option 1 for Rebecca. I will say option 2. Question 15. How socially outgoing are you? Option 1. I am that charming extrovert who knows just what to say, smiley face. Option 2. I am an easygoing extrovert who just enjoys time with friends, smiley face. Option 3. I am an introvert, but I still get along okay when talking to people. Option 4. People are coming. Where can I hide? 4 question marks.
I would be like the introvert that still gets along well. Yeah, no, yours is the where can I hide? I know that.
Yes, it is.
You are more forward in your introversion than I am.
Question 16. The person you're with starts crying openly in front of you. What do you do? Option 1. Hold them. Comfort them. Oh, you poor thing. Option 2. Explain to them logically why they don't need to be upset. Surely that will help. Option 3. Sympathize, but keep your distance. This isn't your problem after all. Option 4. Tell them to stop being so childish.
Well, it certainly depends on who it is.
You must choose one.
1.
Option 1.
I will comfort most people.
I am torn between 2 and 4, but I'm going to choose 2. Question 17. Do you have a dark secret in your past?
Wouldn't you like to know?
Option 1. Nah, everyone knows what you see of me is what you get. Option 2. No, but everyone seems to think I do. Option 3. Yes, no one must ever find out. Or option 4. Yeah, and most people already know what it is.
That's tricky for me. I don't have any dark secrets. I think 1, but also kind of 4, because I do have a relatively scandalous past. I'm going to just say 1, like I'm a pretty open book.
Yeah, you tend to overshare intimate details of your life with practical strangers.
Yeah, I'm better about that these days, but it is a problem.
Question 18. This is the last one. And finally, do you believe in ghosts?
Yes.
Option 1. Absolutely. How can I not? Option 2. I'm open to it, but prefer to rely on logical explanations first. Option 3. I don't know. 3 exclamation points. Option 4. A ghost could run right in front of me and I still wouldn't believe in it.
I believe in ghosts, so 1.
I'm sort of between a 1 or a 2.
I have been more a 2 most of my life, but as I'm getting older, I'm just like, yeah, no, there've been enough weird things. I believe.
I'm going to go ahead and say 2, just
For a
in
different
the hope of
effect.
us getting different.
Yeah.
Make this not boring after we've wasted 20 minutes on it.
It's fine.
So before I reveal the result, who do you hope you get?
I hope I get Liz Stoddard.
Who do you think you will get?
Sam Evans. Who do you hope you'll get and think you'll get?
I don't remember if he's an option, but I kind of hope I would get creepy old Matthew.
Yeah.
Because I am also Matthew and also a mean old man.
It's part of your charm, and you make good baked goods, as does he.
I am afraid that I might get little fucking David because I did the first time.
Oh, that's a treat. Now for the big reveal.
Moment of truth.
Drum roll. Bum.
Ladies first. Which Dark Shadows the beginning character are you? Your result, David Cullen.
No, now I'm creepy David of the damn corn.
The description, a precocious and haunted young boy, as well as that's my Becca, as well as the Collins family heir. His presence seems to draw paranormal activity, and supernatural friends fill his otherwise lonely, abused existence. His high intelligence paired with his penchant for murdering anyone who crosses him makes David both the youngest and most lethal member of the Collins family.
Damn right.
It does give you percentages of
Sure.
how much each character you got. So I will give you the consolation prize that you got 86% David, but you got 76% Liz.
Oh, well, that's fair. I'll take it.
Your second option was Willie Loomis, whom you don't know.
I don't know, really.
Yeah. Now my turn, and I hope it's something different. It is! I am Liz.
Good job.
The Collins family matriarch. Take charge, grounded and logical. You can always count on Liz to have a game plan in times of crisis, or any time, really. Her main goal is to protect the Collins family from destruction and scandal, although she may sometimes go too far to keep the family skeletons in the closet. But I will say it is a tie. I got 93% Liz, but also 93% David.
Ah.
And then my third option is 88% Victoria Winters.
Oh, well, that's fun. You're no ingenue. Well, now
Like I might be.
like I might be. Shut up.
Before we get into the episodes proper, which Jesus Christ, we're just now getting to the episodes proper.
no.
That quiz was so long, and sorry.
Well, now we have our Halloween costumes, though. You can be Liz Stoddard. I can be creepy little David of the Corn.
But
Damned corn.
I don't have enough hair to be Liz.
Oh, I could fix you up. Get you
I
some
don't
weave.
have any wigs.
I can get you a wig.
Okay, well,
I know a guy.
now that we are getting further into the month of October, I was having the nostalgia that I often have for remember back in the good old days when it was cold in October?
Right.
And I looked up historical weather data for our city, and no, it wasn't. It's always been like this. I went from the year of our birth until present day, and it has always been in the mid 80s, like the first couple of weeks of October, with some years being up until the mid 80s until like the week before Halloween.
Well,
And there were some outliers where there would be some unusually cool days at the beginning of October, but it would still go back up to the mid to high 80s in mid-October.
Huh.
And so I think what's happened is because you have that same nostalgia for cold weather Octobers.
I
yes?
feel like I remember being a child and going to like preschool and kindergarten bundled up in September. But again, spotty memories and whatnot, maybe. But absolutely, October was cold and spooky.
That is what I thought, but I think we are creating memories for ourselves based on that one Halloween that it snowed.
I do remember
It
that.
was 1991.
It was, and I was dressed as a ballerina, and I had a big fight with my mother because she wanted me to wear a coat, and I was not going to wear a coat over my beautiful ballerina costume because I was also taking ballet at the time.
I'm pretty sure that I was a vampire because I was always a vampire as a
Sure.
child, and also got into a fight with my mother because she had the audacity to not let me just go out trick-or-treating walking by myself when it was snowing and 26 degrees, and insisted on driving me. And I was like, yeah, I look like a baby with my mommy driving me. And it was 26 degrees and
Right.
snowing, and she made the right decision. But I was pissed in 1991.
I think you're right. That one frozen October night must have painted our
Warped
past.
our entire childhood memories. Yeah. So I just thought it was interesting that
Yeah, no, that's wild.
every fall for the last couple of decades, I've been experiencing nostalgia for a thing that, in fact, is not real.
Happened one night.
Yeah.
Well, shall we dive into the episode?
Certainly.
What is the number? 25, right?
26.
26. Okay. So episode 26, Victoria tells us that it is spooky and musty and dramatic at Collinswood.
Indeed. And we get a close-up on a door to spooky music. And the knob turns slowly, and the door begins to open slowly. Is it a ghost? No, it's just little David.
He has come out of his room and he's creeping around, and Vicky stops him and shakes her head, and tells him she knows that he tried to kill his father and says, "Why did you do it?" And she holds out the bleeder valve. Of course, he's denying it all.
But he
She
makes
says,
a very dramatic face when she presents him with the valve.
"Yes, dun dun dun."
And then opening credits. David says that she is lying and she just wants to get him into trouble. He tries to snatch the valve away from her when Vicky threatens to show it to Liz. And they begin a chase through the hallway and into Vicky's room, and they have a little tussle.
Yeah, they physically struggle over it, and she wrestles it away from him, locks it in her dresser. He corners her and says, "I want that valve. You better give it to me." For a 9-year-old in that moment, he is pretty scared. I was like, oh, back down, creepy little deadly David.
And she tells him to get out, and he's threatening her. And then she tricks him in an amusing way, and is like, "Okay, I'll let you have it, but first let's go see where I found it. Here, follow me." And they start to walk out of the room, and then she lets him go out first and then slams the door and locks him in his face. Over at Constable Sheriff's office, he's at his desk as Roger comes in. And Roger's throwing a fit that Burke hasn't been charged for attempted murder yet. Constable Sheriff is dismissive and is more interested in making his lunch order, and it's kind of funny.
Yeah, that bit was super fun. I've been calling him Constable Glasses.
Back in Vicky's room, she's talking to David through the door where he's still lurking in the hall, but he doesn't answer her. Then we pop back over to Sheriff Constable's office. Roger is continuing to complain about Burke not being in jail, and Constable Sheriff explains that there isn't enough evidence.
And then is annoyed that he forgot to ask for no mustard.
And Roger accuses Sheriff Constable of taking bribes or being afraid of the fact that Burke is rich. He then goes on to accuse Constable Sheriff of not being up to the job as just a small town cop and tries to bully him into arresting Burke.
And then he gets down to brass tacks and is essentially threatens his job because the Cullens are powerful.
So Roger is trying to use his family's influence to make the sheriff lose his next election if he doesn't go along with Roger's demands.
Sheriff Constable finally gets pissed and puts his lunch down for a moment.
He does, but in this conversation refers to himself as the sheriff.
Oh.
So I think our debate is settled and he's the sheriff, but I did like my Sheriff Constable bit.
All right, well, Sheriff Glasses.
Sheriff.
Sheriff don't like it. And he's put his sandwich down, essentially tells him that he's not going to do anything unlawful, like produce false evidence, and that he can't be bought, and that Roger and his powerful family can go fuck themselves, essentially. Roger wants Sheriff to search Burke's room for the bleeder valve, and he basically says that anyone who hung on to the bleeder valve would be a fool or crazy, or I believe it's a fool or a psychopath.
A psychotic.
Oh, a psychotic. There it is.
Psychotic.
And he doesn't think that Burke is either. And then that, of course, cuts to creepy little psychopath David.
Yep, back at Collinwood, the clock is chiming while Liz paces the foyer dramatically, and David comes running downstairs, and he accuses Vicky of trying to hurt him. He says he has to get away. Liz marches him into the drawing room for questioning, where he says that Vicky grabbed him and tried to pull him into her room. Liz is suspicious of this, and David admits that he did steal Vicky's letter. When Liz suggests, well, why don't we talk to Miss Winters about all of this? He warns that, well, she's just going to make up stories and lie about me and try and get me into trouble, and she's a liar, and she's going to blame me for my father's accident.
Then Vicky comes in after David is sitting there trying to set it up for Vicky to take the fall.
And she is mean mugging to a serious degree.
She's done with that little shit. She is like, motherfucker, you murderous thing. I am done fighting with this. She comes in to talk to Liz, and Liz wants to talk to her alone. And
It's actually Vicky who asks to speak to Liz privately.
No, you're right. I
And then
apologize.
Liz tells David to wait outside, but he protests and says twice that she won't believe you.
She won't believe you.
And then he does go back into the foyer like instructed, but of course is listening at the door.
Liz closes the door behind her and leans on them, sort of exhausted, and looks at Vicky. Back at Sheriff's office, Roger's complaining that he's not doing things fast enough, and Sheriff is annoyed because he's already agreed to start a search of Burke's room and got a search warrant, but Roger is still complaining and being really just a little bitch about everything and throwing a tantrum.
And the sheriff is still being amusingly casual. And I think is this when he takes a phone call?
Yes, he
telling a story about somebody's dog that got lost or something.
I honestly love Sheriff. He's eating his Sammy. He's pissed about the mustard. He's trying to just do his job. And he's like, these rich people and their rich people problems. I don't care who is trying to murder the millionaire. When I feel that, Sheriff.
Roger asks to come along for the search, and Sheriff says no, so Roger leaves all mad. Roger leaves, the sheriff makes a follow-up call about some information he'd asked about Burke Devlin from New York, but the actor stumbles while saying his lines. He's like, Burke,
Devlin. Burke Devlin. Burke Devlin. Finally, now that he's alone with his lunch, takes a bite of his sandwich again and then throws it in the trash and says, I hate mustard. And that was fun.
Back in the drawing room, Vicky explains that she was looking for her missing letter in David's room and that is when David went bonkers and started chasing her. Liz does not believe her at first, and she's asking for more details, but the phone rings. Liz answers, and in the foyer, David picks up the extension to listen. Remember doing that? Wasn't that fun?
Oh, yeah. Just snooping on your folks all the time. Yeah. They were relatively boring, though. Didn't ever really get any good goss.
It's Roger on the phone calling to try and get Liz to bully the sheriff into arresting Burke because Liz is really the powerful one. She's the one with the house and the money and the company. He's just crashing at her house.
Yeah.
David is listening at the door, and then Vicky goes on to reveal that she found the missing bleeder valve from Roger's car in David's room in a dresser drawer, and that he did the tampering. Liz does not believe it. Vicky offers to show her. She tries to go get it, but Liz insists on accompanying her, and that's probably because she knows David might try to ambush and murder her if she don't upstairs on her own. But of course, when Vicky opens the drawer, the valve is gone.
Dun, dun, dun.
Wah, wah, wah. In credits, episode 27, Vicky reminds us that Collinwood is creepy. But in more detail this time. She kind of goes on a little bit and is talking about the paintings. Shut up, Victoria Winters. Let's get to the action. But while this is happening, Vicky is looking for David in the drawing room, and Carolyn comes in and makes lots of little jokes about how awful David is, and I enjoy that. She calls him a little monster and a terror. Vicky teases to Carolyn before the opening credits that David may have done attempted murder.
Carolyn says something along the lines of, you can go find any number of 9-year-olds, blah, blah, blah. And then Vicky says, how many of them try to commit murder? Then Carolyn and Vicky talk, and she's just wanting to know if she's seen David, or Vicky is wanting to know if Carolyn has seen David, and she has not. And Vicky and Carolyn go back and forth about what happened with David, and Vicky does finally tell her that she found the valve, and Carolyn says that these walls shouldn't be paneled, they should be padded, and gets real down about her crazy fucking family, and is just generally distraught that she lives with a bunch of kooks.
Yeah, during that conversation, Carolyn reveals to Vicky that she was in Burke's hotel room, but then reassures her, oh, the sheriff was there. I wasn't fucking him.
Right.
That's a paraphrase, of course, but I think Carolyn in this conversation puts two and two together that Vicky is suspicious of David before Vicky comes out and says it.
Yes.
She does eventually come out and say it. Carolyn is dramatic about it, like you said, and she also brings up again how she really hopes it wasn't Burke because that means it's her fault.
Then back with Burke, he is visiting with his mystery man in Bangor, Bronson, and he tells him that he needs to keep a distance and not let people know that they're working together.
He's being pretty vague, so Burke is asking Bronson if he brought the papers that he wanted. He reiterates that, like, and nobody saw you, and you only gave your name, and you didn't say anything about me, and remember, we're being real sneaky about whatever it is we're up to. And Bronson makes a really good shocked face when he says this.
Yes.
I will screenshot it for Instagram, where you will also find at Ghosts Want You Dead at Instagram photos of Rebecca doing her thespianing.
Oh dear, I did not agree to that, but who knows? They're already out there anyway.
Anyway, they discuss the timeline of whatever it is that they're up to, and Burke vaguely explains that Roger had an accident, but doesn't go into a lot of detail. So,
yeah, he basically says that their timeline has moved up because of said accident.
And
they're
discussing details of the Collinses' financial situation, and Bronson presents the report that he's brought, and Burke begins to read it. And Bronson is a little like, are you going to sit here and read all of that? I kind of thought you were just picking it up.
Back with Carolyn and Vicky, Carolyn says that it must have been ghosts that got her dresser drawer unlocked. Vicky says it's no time for joking, and Carolyn is like, dude, I'm not joking. There are ghosts for real.
Vicky hears a noise from the West Wing and starts to get scared. And then Carolyn is explaining that that part of the house is closed off and nobody ever goes back there. Then Vicky tells Carolyn about her finding the door open previously and it shutting on its own and then being locked after that. So they're speculating about that and both getting kind of scared, and the door begins to slowly open and they're getting scared, and this time it's just Liz. And she's like, oh yeah, I was in there looking for David, and that noise you heard, I dropped my keys, but David's not in there. Anyway, Vicky, let's go talk in your room. She explains that she was looking for David in the closed wing, and she's stumbling over her lines, explaining that Matthew could have left the door open. Liz is questioning if Vicky really put the valve in the dresser drawer. Maybe she's misremembering or making things up. And then Carolyn comes in with a key. Liz explains that these dressers, there are multiple of this same dresser in the house, and all of the keys are the same. So Carolyn opens up the locked drawer, and she finds the mechanic magazine that David had previously given to Vicky to frame her. She notices it's open to a page that explains how to do the exact brake tampering that were done, like it's dog-eared to that page or something. And
yeah, it's very worn.
Vicky explains that David was very insistent about giving her this magazine.
As a present.
Yep, and back in Bronson's room, Burke is annoyed that the report he's given appears to be incomplete. Bronson reveals that they're trying to buy up the outstanding debt from the Collins family, but Burke is mad that there wasn't information about all of their real estate holdings. So we find out that in addition to Collinwood and the cannery, they also own half of Collinsport.
Sure.
He wants to know all about that too. He says he's gonna do a job on that family and hit them so hard they wish they'd never heard of him, he says.
So he does want revenge.
And he also asks if there's any more information about the cannery in Logansport that Burke intends to buy. Bronson says he may have mailed that to Burke's hotel because he mentioned being in a rush on that, and Burke freaks out that, well, if you mailed it to the hotel, someone might connect you and I. Ben, back at Collinsport, Liz has called Roger to let him know that nobody can find his creepy son.
And he doesn't really give a shit and is like, okay.
She asks him to hurry home, and then when they hang up, she calls him useless and is pissed. Carolyn tries to reassure Liz that David will probably come back on his own. Then, back in Bangor, Burke is still putting on his coat and leaving Bronson's room, at which point his hotel calls him back and confirms that he hasn't received any mail. However, Sheriff has searched his room. Also, they caught a kid trying to sneak into his room. End credits.
I just want to say, as I start episode 28, when I'm taking notes, I'm typically just sort of half watching and then like stumbling around on my phone. And I make a lot of typos anyway because of the arthritis. And you know how I like to tell people about that. But I just find I've compiled a list of some of the autocorrects that I have gotten for Vicky. Sometimes in my notes, she's Vicky. Sometimes she's Nikki, Bucky.
That was my favorite.
Bicky. And I think there was another one, but I can't remember. Anyway, Vicky, Nikki, Bucky tells us that David is creepy and missing.
And also an attempted murderer.
Yes.
Then Burke busts into the sheriff's office, just furious that his room was searched. The sheriff starts to put Burke in his place, and Burke is threatening him with fancy lawyers. We have our opening credits, and then the sheriff is like, no, I had a warrant. Here it is. Want to see it? But then Burke accuses him of performing the search at Roger's request, which the sheriff denies, but also that's kind of what happened.
Yeah, that is exactly what happened. At the hotel, Maggie has found David loitering because, you know, he ran off away and was missing. And now he's not missing. He's at the diner. She insists that he come inside and loiter inside instead of outside, and that she would make him a sundae. She plays it cool when he lies and says his dad knows where he is.
And she's being real friendly. She clearly has an agenda.
Yes.
And David is being his usual rude creep self, and she's just all sunshine and rainbows trying to befriend this weird little child.
She does go and make a phone call.
Yeah, she's making small talk and being like, oh, I know your dad. He comes in for coffee a lot. And she asks after Roger, like, where is he? What's going on? Because she clearly wants to call him and say, hey, I found your creepy child wandering around my workplace.
Come get him, please.
Like you said, David lies and says Roger's at the office, but he'll be coming to get him soon. And then Maggie excuses herself to make a phone call, which we all know is Roger, like, come get this creep out of my restaurant.
Right.
And David is initially resistant to ice cream, but does start to eat it. Over at Sheriff's office, he gets a phone call from New York. Burke is there and hears this and makes a face when he hears he was calling New York about something.
Sheriff says that Burke is the only one he could put a finger on. And then Burke says, you're going to keep putting your finger on me, aren't you? And the way that was phrased was real funny. And then he says, you know, you're hounding me. Something about him hounding him, and Sheriff says, I wouldn't dream of hounding you, and all of the subtext there was kind of funny to me.
I didn't notice it in this particular scene, but Burke is continuing to protest his innocence and his innocence.
All right, Mrs. Stoddard.
His innocence.
See, you can do it for the both of us.
Do what?
The stutter, the Liz stutter, the Liz Stoddard stutter.
Burke continues to protest his innocence. He's being awfully belligerent too, but the sheriff remains calm and points out that all this "lady doth protest too much" is sounding like a man with a guilty conscience. The sheriff repeats that he did not expect to find the valve in the hotel room because obviously whoever did it would not be hanging on to this valve that incriminates them. Sheriff dismisses Burke and he leaves in a huff. And then the sheriff returns the call to New York.
Back at the hotel diner, Maggie is looking around.
She offers David another sundae. She's trying to fatten him up like the Hansel and Gretel way.
Yes. And teaching him how to make the sundae and just trying to ingratiate herself with him and stall for time.
Well, earlier when they were chit-chatting, he asked, "Hey, do you think I could ever work here?" So Maggie offers the second sundae, and he again declines, but then she tricks him into it by offering to let him come behind the counter and make it, and that's when he agrees. So this creepy little murdering creep child has ambitions to work at the diner, I guess.
Yes.
Which is funny because he lives in a big old mansion. She's clearly trying to keep him occupied until someone can come fetch him. She is also a nosy gossip, as we have learned the other episode. So she's asking why he was trying to sneak into Burke's room. He gets pissed off and tries to leave. Maggie turns up the nice dial another notch and is like, "What if I give you hot fudge? Then will you stay, little boy? Want some candy?" And she does convince him to stay. And Maggie is very obviously like staring out the window, waiting for Roger to get there, which he does. And as soon as David sees him coming, he sneaks out, or he hides, and Maggie is puzzled about his disappearance. Roger is being silly and is like, "Fuck that kid. Don't call me again. I won't come after him."
Yeah. He does make a joke when Maggie is saying she doesn't know how he got away so quickly. He's like, "Spells and incantations." And then says, what you said is, "Do me a favor. If he rematerializes, don't call me."
While Roger is there, Maggie takes the opportunity to ask if Roger might know why her insufferable dad is being even more insufferable than usual since Burke has come back to town, because it's plainly related to something to do with Roger and Burke. Roger is shocked to learn that Burke has visited their house and then starts to try and do his very transparent, slimy, friendly, manipulative voice, but it does not work initially. Maggie does reveal that Sam is going to paint a portrait for Burke, at which point Burke walks in and Roger asks him about, "You said you were only going to be in town a couple days. That's not enough time for a portrait. Why are you changing your story?" And they argue a little bit, and Roger threatens that he's going to get rid of Burke one way or another, and "You're going back to jail, buddy." Roger leaves, and then Maggie tells Burke that David was caught trying to sneak into his room. So now it's Burke's turn to do the off-putting, slimy, friendly manipulation shtick to Maggie.
Yeah.
It works this time, and Maggie reveals that Roger came looking for Sam the night Burke came to town. Additionally, the last time that she saw Roger at her house was during Burke's trial 10 years ago. What could possibly be happening?
Dun, dun, dun. Right. It's all been so talked about and heavy-handed at this point. It's like, come on, let's get to it, gang. But
well, that's not unique to Dark Shadows. That is the nature of the soap opera, that they talk about a big mysterious thing for 3 months and finally give you the answer, and that's how they keep you hooked. Back at the sheriff's office, Roger continues to bully Sheriff about arresting Burke. Sheriff implies that Roger has something to hide. He reveals that Burke's business dealings all checked out as legitimate, but he had hired a detective to snoop on the Collinses. So the sheriff is basically like, what are you hiding that Burke Devlin is trying to find out? We pop back over to the restaurant at the inn. Maggie is curious about where David has gone. Burke gives her a tip and leaves.
Says he's had enough of the Collinses.
Maggie starts to close up, and then she goes into the back for something.
And then they cut to a shot from inside the phone booth, which is kind of a fun shot, where they sit on that frame for a minute, and then David crawls up out of the darkness like a little howler monkey and climbs out of the phone booth and then leaves the hotel diner. The end. Episode 29.
Victoria Winters reminds us that it's creepy at Collinwood and creepy David is still creepily missing. While Liz looks dramatically out the window, Carolyn enters and says that she couldn't find David anywhere. She suggests that maybe he ran away. She tells Liz that she has asked Matthew to continue looking for him. They look out the window dramatically together for a bit, but Liz is much better at it. Carolyn needs more practice.
She does.
And Carolyn calls David a horror, and that really pisses Liz off.
Liz seems to genuinely have a maternal, loving, soft spot for David.
God knows why. He's terrible.
I actually don't hate David all of the time from a psychological standpoint. I mean, obviously he is a murderous little shit, but also he has grown up with verbally abusive father, and you know, it's the 1960s, so probably physically abusive too. We've seen him shake him around. His mother is gone somewhere. I'm assuming the crazy house, maybe an institution.
Yes, I'm pretty sure they have said that.
And yeah, I think it was at least alluded to, if not said directly.
I think you're right. I think they've just said that she's away because she's ill.
It's mentioned in this episode, I believe, or at least an episode. I think it's this episode or the next one, that, you know, his parents fought a lot, and he's generally, it sounds like he's had a rather unhappy childhood, and now he's been whisked away to this creepy, spooky, ghost-ridden house of tears. Yeah, so while he is spooky and weird and a little bit evil, I also know what it's like to want to throw temper tantrums about ghosts and murder, so...
I have no sympathy for the little bastard. Liz goes on to say that she'll never forgive Vicky if anything happens to David, which is funny because it seems pretty obvious that Vicky is her illegitimate daughter. Funny that she's more attached to her nephew, whom she's only known for like a month.
Than the daughter that she gave up and sent to Foundling Home and then has gone to great lengths to bring back. And I will say that it is a fucked up dynamic to be like, come be my governess for my shitty kid. But she's kind of cunty to Vicky a great deal.
So after she's made it clear that she'll never forgive Vicky for this if anything happens to David, she and Carolyn resume their dramatic looking out the window competition, and we get our opening credits.
At the hotel, Burke comes into his room, followed by creepy little David, who snuck up creepily to talk to him. Burke asks where David was hiding, and he tells him that he was hiding in the phone booth.
And Burke does his slimy, friendly, manipulative shtick again, but this time David is kind of buying it because he's a 9-year-old boy. Burke calls him Dave, and he's real friendly and goes to the kitchen to get him some juice. And David takes that opportunity to plant the bleeder valve in the sofa cushions, which is the reason he's there, but Burke sees him from the kitchen doorway. Back at Collinwood, Liz comes back into the foyer and tells Vicky that Matthew hasn't come back. He must still be out looking, and Vicky suggests calling the police, but Liz is a bitch about it while stumbling over her lines and tries to send Vicky to her room like a child. Now it's Vicky's turn to look dramatically out the window.
Yes, Vicky stares dramatically out the window, and Carolyn comes in and makes jokes about the breeze. I can't remember what she said.
I don't either. I don't think it's important, but
Sure.
she's just being cute and teasing Vicky about being mopey and looking out the window dramatically. And it begins to thunder, and Carolyn explains that storms make the house even spookier and makes the ghosts come out, and the power's gonna go out. Then she also is reassuring Vicky and telling her not to blame herself for David being a little creep, that he's been a little creep long before Vicky ever came around. Carolyn goes on to explain that she is more interested in Burke Devlin than she is her own family. Like, she just wants Burke to be innocent. Vicky tells her that she's bothered by her mother's behavior when Carolyn is trying to pry out of her what's the matter.
Carolyn asks, like, what's getting under your skin or what's bothering you? And she just says, your mother. And I was thinking, like all in
mama joke.
Yeah, yeah. So I chuckled at the your mom joke that Vicky made because I make them constantly.
Yeah, that went over my head, but good catch. Back at the end, Burke continues to groom creepy little David, which we notice is kind of becoming the theme of the show. Various adults manipulating this creepy little kid. First Maggie, now Burke, and then there will be more of this later. And that's kind of unnerving.
A little bit, yes. I did find that to be problematic, although with everything that has sort of been alluded to about David and David's mother having been with Burke, and then them having this sort of bonding time where he's genuinely like playing with him, and they're making jokes about Devlin being a devil and having fire come out of his mouth and generally playing pretend and joking around, something his shitty father has never done one day in his life. It does seem like it is attempting to indicate that that David could be Burke's baby bastard.
Yeah, and Burke outright says that he wants to be friends, and they're joking around, like you say. Back at Collinwood, in the drawing room, Carolyn is scolding Liz for disbelieving Vicky and being a bitch. She's stumbling over her lines. They talk about how Roger and David hate each other, and everybody knows that, but Liz still does not believe that David tried to kill him. Carolyn says, well, why not? Like, if my shitty deadbeat father that left us had come around when I was a kid, I would have wanted to kill him.
Yeah, she's like, I would have smashed my absentee father with a rock. Like, I was like, damn, Carolyn, it's vicious.
Liz is doing her anguished face while Carolyn is trying to talk her into the idea that David really might have done the tampering.
Yeah, she presses her mother that she needs to believe Vicky. Liz says that
Liz is accusing Carolyn of trying to destroy David, but now Liz is trying to blame Vicky for the tampering, like she was trying to kill Roger for no reason.
Carolyn asks if she really does believe that, and with a sigh, Liz says no, but she's struggling to believe that David could do it. And then Carolyn says something about, and I suppose she's talking about the ancestry. It does give, like, because it's all spooky, she's like, we've been surviving for the last 300 years. But I guess she's talking about the Collinses in general.
Well, we'll talk more about that later. Then the phone rings, and it's Maggie calling to ask if David has come back yet. Carolyn's talking to her and explains to Liz, it's Maggie, she works at the restaurant. She says David was there, and Liz snatches the phone and is stumbling over her lines and being shitty to Maggie about, well, why didn't you call earlier? When Maggie explains that, well, she called Roger, and then Liz is like, oh, okay. Never mind. Sorry, I was a bitch.
Yeah, she got real hot-headed for a minute until she heard the story.
And then Liz sends Carolyn into town to fetch David now that they know he's gone to town. Upstairs, Vicky is still looking dramatically out the window, but in a different pose this time. Normally they're standing looking dramatically out the window, but now she's lounging looking dramatically out the window.
Yeah.
When Liz knocks, pretending to be there to make sure that the windows are secured for the storm, but really she's there to apologize for her shitty behavior, which she does, and
Because she's a foolish woman who says foolish things.
so Liz is bemoaning her creepy cursed family and there will be no peace and blah blah blah. And they do a really cool match cut between Liz's eyes and David's eyes over at the end, where David is explaining to Burke that Roger hates him and wants to send him away, and David says that he wishes his father were like Burke. I may have been slow on the uptake on first viewing, and this is when I was like, oh, that's his dad. Burke asks again why David came to the inn, and David almost tells the truth. You can see he's conflicted, but then he doesn't. David instead goes on to say that his parents used to fight about Burke all the time, and that made David curious, so he'd just come to check him out. Burke calls David over to the window to behold the coming storm and suggest that maybe they'd better get David home before the storm. Burke then, before they leave, sends him into the washroom to wash up before going home. And then David is like, oh, no, I can just do that at home. But Burke insists that, I couldn't possibly bring you home with dirty hands. Aunt Liz would be mad because Burke uses this time to retrieve the bleeder valve that he saw David plant in between the sofa cushions.
Yes.
Then end credit.
Episode 30, Vicky is alone and creeped out at Collinswood.
Yep, Collinwood is creepy, and the storm is creepy, and ghosts are creepy, she tells us. Downstairs in the drawing room, the camera pans across the empty drawing room slowly and on into the empty foyer, as Vicky is talking in this voiceover about emptiness and loneliness, and she comes downstairs to first shut and then dramatically look out of the French windows. There's a lot of dramatic window looking in these few episodes.
I feel like maybe we're not doing enough of that in our own lives.
The storm intensifies and the power goes out as the drawing room door closes on its own. Vicky tries to open it and it is locked. She then lights some candles and now the door is open and a creepy, shadowy figure appears in the door. So Vicky yells out real loud like 5 times, "Who's there? Who is it? You there? Hey, I'm yelling at you." And then the figure disappears and we go to opening credits. We come back to Vicky hugging herself and being startled at the thunder. The lights come back on.
And she gets a candlestick and is ready to go wallop whoever it was, and she goes out tentatively into the foyer, but it was just Roger, who comes up out of the garage, or wherever that door leads to. I'm not entirely sure.
That door goes to the kitchen, which Roger says that he was coming from the basement where he was replacing a fuse. So I guess maybe you get to the basement from the kitchen. But Roger tells her that he's just arrived home and he didn't hear a thing, even though she was yelling a lot. And
yeah, she says, I was hollering, and he's like, oh, I didn't hear anything.
They're talking, and Roger is amusingly disinterested in David's whereabouts. She starts to talk about, well, I'm sure somebody will find David, and he's, I don't fucking care.
He says, I could care less. And yes, he says that he could care less and that he is worried about his kid for the last 9 years, and that's long enough. And he's more concerned with his own affairs, which seems to be just Roger in general.
He asks where Carolyn is, but calls her Caroline by mistake.
Well, that's an easy mistake to make.
Vicky explains that Carolyn has also gone to look for David. Roger clues Vicky in about David being caught at the inn trying to break into Burke's room. And they're just standing in the drawing room at this point by the big French windows, and the lighting is unconvincing and funny. You can practically see the lighting technician flipping a switch off and on up.
Yeah, no, it was very apparent.
It is not convincing lightning at all. Oh, did the power go out again and now it's coming back on? But it's just
No, it's just the lightning guy.
Mhm.
Roger says, in regards to David and Burke being around each other, or him going to Burke's hotel room, Roger says, "Now that's a combination, isn't it? My son and Burke Devlin, the two people I hate most in the world." Which is a pretty strong sentiment to make about your kid.
And at this point, Vicky tells Roger that she thinks that it was David that tried to kill him. And Roger is furious, not because how dare you accuse my son of such a thing, but because he clearly believes it. And he's like, no, it's supposed to be Perk so I can put him back in jail.
That was the exact vibe. He's just like, no.
But we head back over to Burke's room at the end.
Where he says he'll buy David a dog.
He insists also that David call him Burke because they're friends. So at this point, David is digging in the couch for the valve after he's decided that he and Burke are friends now and he no longer wishes to frame him for attempted murder.
Burke is driving Davy of the Damned home and tells him not to worry,
while David is pulling funny, scared faces, which Burke calls him on.
And Burke says he ran away once and got on a boat somewhere.
He assures him that it will blow over quickly, this trouble, and when he gets home, they'll yell at him a little bit, but then the next day everything will be fine. David makes sure to ask Burke, are we really friends? Which Burke confirms. And then David asks, oh, can we go back to the hotel? I think I might have left something there. But Burke declines when David will not explain what he thinks he forgot.
Back at Collinwood, Vicky shows Roger where the valve was. And she shows him the magazine, and he says that he doesn't believe that David could do it. Roger says that he's never liked his kid, but he's surprised that he would try to murder him.
I read this a little bit differently. It seemed to me while Vicky is explaining what happened and how David had the magazine, which he then tried to give to her to obviously frame her, I thought Roger came off seeming oddly proud of David coming up with this little murder plot. The score intensifies as there's a knock at the door, so Vicky and Roger go downstairs to find Burke bringing David home. Burke lies and says that he found David wandering around town just a few minutes ago. Roger is yelling at David and summons him into the drawing room to get yelled at some more. Burke waits in the foyer with Vicky and is just making chit-chat. He retells the story of running away as a child, but this time the ending is different and it isn't nothing and just blows over. He says his father beat him severely. Which is not what he said to David.
And he says it in quite a casual way. He's like, I ran away once, and then my father beat the shit out of me. Anyway, I like this old clock.
Back in the drawing room, David denies everything, and he says Vicky made him run away because she hates him and is trying to frame him. And this whole time, he's annoyingly plinking on the piano.
Yeah, just being a poor, spooky baby, and she's a grown-up, so he will believe her, like...
David suggests that, well, maybe it was Vicky who tried to kill Roger, and Roger demands that David empty his pockets, No valve is to be found in the contents of sand
just
pockets.
Snips and snails and puppy dog tails and demon entrails.
David says he never had the valve, and he asks for Aunt Elizabeth when Roger is like, no one will save you.
Yeah,
Back in the foyer, Burke is going on about the clock and how it's almost 200 years old and blah, blah, blah. I know all about the Collins family. While Vicky is continually asking him to leave, and he does not. Burke reminds Vicky of his early warning for her to leave Collinsport when she first got there. He tries to suggest that she leave again.
That she's living in a madhouse and she ought to get out while she can.
Back in the drawing room, Roger shows David the magazine, but he still denies everything and insists that Vicky is just trying to get him into trouble. So they come back out into the foyer, where Roger is surprised to find Burke still there, at which point he asks Vicky to come into the drawing room and give her side of the story, and Burke just comes with her, even though he's been asked to leave several times.
Yeah, he's like, no, I'm not missing this.
And Roger has Vicky explain her side again, and David there to rebut, which he does a lot, and is just straight up calling her a liar. And no, that's a lie. You're making this up. Burke looks on as David is insisting that Vicky has lied, at which point Burke produces the valve, and David makes a good guilty face. End credits. Cliffhanger.
Dun, dun, dun. And that's the end.
How you feeling? I thought these episodes had a little bit better pace, and
there was a little better flow to them, yes.
We are still getting a lot of people saying the same shit over again, but I thought they did a better job of building tension in these episodes, and I thought it was shaping up to be a fun little mystery.
Yeah, no, I'm enjoying it more than I enjoyed these 5 episodes more than I enjoyed the last 5, which felt sort of long-winded and daunting, but I enjoy the acting quite a bit. I love Spooky Little David, and he's gives some real good facial expressions.
Oh yeah, in terms of acting, that little kid does a great job. Like, I really hate that character, and that kid is doing a good job.
Right, and he's just like a nice little 9-year-old actor who's probably a sweetheart or also just a murderer. But
did you know that this is the only acting he ever did, and after Dark Shadows he didn't act again and became a restaurateur?
Well, good for him. I didn't know that, but child actors typically end up with a lot of problems. So I'm glad he went on.
He may have, for all I know, but I do think it's interesting that he just did this one soap opera and then went on to have a normal job.
Well, I like that for him. I do. Like, that's a fun, like, oh yeah, I was a creepy little murderer on Dark Shadows, and here, would you like to try my creme brulee?
Well, thus concludes episode 6.
Yes.
We would appreciate it if you would leave us a review if it's a good one. If it's a bad one, that's okay. You can talk shit to us on Instagram, but on the review platforms, we would like 5 stars, please. Say nice things. You can find us on Instagram at Ghosts Want You Dead and on TikTok at GWYD Podcast. I will confess, I am an old man and do not know how to make TikTok happen. So my husband is running that account for us. My slightly younger husband who understands TikTok, I guess. Anyway, we're done with this podcast for tonight.
We're done.
Have a spooky October, and we'll be back next week
with more shadows and darkness.